my freshman year of college and sophomore, I was looking at opportunities more so like Wall Street, more business, banks, that kind of thing. That was what my family and my parents expected me to do.
Right.
But on the side, I went to a Best Buy and I picked up like a handheld camcorder, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn everything about production and shooting and all that. So I actually picked up on my junior and my senior year. I actually minored in film studies.
Okay.
Which is also something that I'm not in either, but
Right.
it did get me in, entertainment. And so I was, studying like film theory and things of that nature. Watched every movie you can think of from like the early 1900s all the way up here. So really understood kind of more the production and art of filmmaking. And from there, I decided I didn't want to, work or intern in Wall Street or for a big business or bank. So I started to shoot music videos for local rappers.
Okay. Okay.
So I did that for like a summer, and as you could expect, I mean, those were like pretty god awful videos.
Well, when you're starting out, everything
Yeah.
is a little bit, kind of a learning
Yeah,
curve.
for sure. And it was no special equipment. Like I said, I went to a Best Buy and just picked up like a handheld camcorder that your dad would have used to
Right.
shoot you as a kid. So I did that for a little bit. I kind of learned the ropes. I ended up interning for a pretty well known producer in Toronto at that time, and he was shooting for literally every Canadian artist that you can think of, and then also American artists whenever they were touring through Canada. So I really learned and worked with some pretty big names, at least in the Canadian market at that time. But from time to time, as I started to do more of the productions, I started to get more responsibility. Moved in from just being an intern to being an assistant producer to then producing. But then in about a year or so later, entertainment really changed.
Right.
So, probably the era that we grew up in, MTV, VH1, BET is always about music videos. Around 2007, 2008, that all changed. MTV started to show less music videos, and it was more about reality TV shows and Jersey Shore. And so really quickly, I learned that, oh shit, like I clearly can feel budgets getting cut. Major labels are not spending as much money. And yeah, music videos were becoming a dying art. So I was like, okay, shit, what do I do next? But through the kind of the couple of years that I was doing that, I obviously had a knack with working with talent on set. And I kind of just built my relationships in that world. And I decided to then say, you know what, I'm going to represent TV film actors. So I actually moved from Toronto to LA. This is around 2009. And this is where my life gets pretty crazy.
Interesting, right.
Gets really interesting. I ended up, in the mailroom of a lot of different talent agencies. And then I ended up for a couple of years with my former mentor and boss. Her name is Joanne Horowitz. And she had a boutique management company. It was just like a two-man show. It was her and her assistant. And I was brought in. But what was interesting was she was Kevin Spacey's manager for his entire career.
Okay.
And why it got interesting for me was, at that time when I had started with them, Kevin had already been on top of the world, won every award you can possibly think of. And he was really just doing, kind of passion projects at this time. And so, he had done, some more, rom-coms like, I forgot what it was called with Jennifer Aniston, Horrible Bosses.
Okay. Love that movie.
Yeah,
by the way.
well,
That was
great,
a great movie.
great cast.
Yeah.
It was fun, but that was kind of like the last project, at least when I got there, that he had shot. And then he ended up, going to London, and he was working theater. That was his real passion. Which, by the way, as talent managers, we didn't eat off of that because that was his own thing. And then obviously he started his own production company as well. So he was producing some of the biggest movies at that time, Social Network, a lot of those different things. So he was doing less of the acting thing. But then this script came across our desk. It was called House of Cards.
Oh, yes.
So really funny story for those of you that don't know. Obviously, I assume everyone watching has a Netflix account.
Yeah.
You have probably seen hundreds, if not thousands now, of Netflix original series and movies, but House of Cards was actually the first one ever.
I didn't know that House of Cards was the first one ever. I knew it was a Netflix original, but that was the first
one ever.
And that's something that you worked on?
Yes. So that was kind of my first foray, actually. So I read the script, and obviously his agent at CAA obviously loved it as well. My boss at that time also loved it. It was also a show that was already a hit in the UK on BBC. And Kevin loves the UK. He's actually knighted by the Queen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, he dwells out
Sir
there.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sir Kevin Spacey. I mean, and we can go into all the other stuff around him, but like that's why my life got really interesting.
Right.
But yeah, it actually took quite a while to actually get Kevin on board.
Okay.
Naturally, this is someone who's done $100 million budgets, big screen. For anyone to say, okay, I'm going to go back to the small screen, and not just like network small screen,
Right.
a streaming platform that no one has ever done. And so there was a lot of hesitation as to for him to actually join that. But then, a couple of months later, there was some redrafts of the script. This writer called named Bull Willimon that Kevin knows very well rewrote the pilot, and then David Fincher came on board to direct.
Okay.
That kind of changed things. And yeah, so from there, the rest is history. I mean, you guys know what happened with that show. It exploded, and it kicked down the door for Netflix to, do
What they do now.
What they do now. Before it was just DVDs, right?
Right.
And kind of B-list movies, but that really kind of just launched everything.